Yes, indeed. I will survive in my Mach 5. The President of the United States starts this hour of What in the World with Wilson off right. Welcome. It's Thursday. It's 4 o'clock. What in the world? Exclamation point, question mark. What in the world is happening? I looked. I found some stuff. And we're going to talk about it now in this hour. So you're welcome. It's crazy. Like I feel like every hour that I talk about the craziness of humanity is going to be. So let me just hit you with this one headline here. Mop-wearing Florida man looking for eggs, terrified entire family. That's from the Palm Beach Post, and we're going to talk about that in a second, and articles and news stories like that to follow. Again, What in the World with Wilson? I'm your boy Wilson. Welcome to the show. After me, Stinky Arts Music Mart, so stick around for that. All right, this show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. 1,600 megs of locally grown hemp whipped up into a fun tub with other little party mates like comfrey, colloidal. It's an outer body butter, buddy. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring this show. Now, I used to say I've done all the drugs, but I keep thinking I haven't done bath salts or fentanyl. So minus them, I've done them all. And thanks to the man upstairs, I do no more drugs. Thank you, man upstairs. And I show him props every Sunday. 417 Main Avenue, Antioch Church. 10 a.m. recovery, 11 a.m. worship. Come on through. Now, Nonprofit Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 FM. KRFFLP is listener supported. Radio Free Fargo receives no government money nor grant monies, and traditional advertising is a no option for nonprofits. We do have underwriting, which is different. Radio Free Fargo believes in trying to present the widest spectrum of music and talk like I do. If you believe in community radio and would like to help, visit our website, www.radiofreefargo.org. Click on the donate button. As always, gracias for your support. Please tell others about Radio Free Fargo, and let's just keep right on pushing. Learn about underwriting opportunities with nonprofit Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 FM, KRFF. Increase public visibility and create a positive image. Underwriting may increase website traffic and possibly offer tax deductions. To learn more, please message us at us. I can't talk, right? It's not like I have to on this show. Okay, I do. Please message us at our website, www.radiofreefargo.org. Shout out to our community partners at Fix It Forward Auto Care. With 4 Fargo, Moorhead, and West Fargo locations, they handle anything from routine maintenance to complex vehicle repairs. Fix It Forward focuses on quality, integrity, and giving back to the community. For more information, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, or at their website at fixitforwardautocare.com. Yeehaw! What in the world with Wilson? We got news stories. We got some songs. After me, Stinky Arts Music Mart. So let's get into it, huh? One Florida man proved Halloween's never out of season in Florida. Police say James Disney, with a Z, of Port St. Lucie, wore a mop on his head like a mask while banging on a neighbor's door. See, now I clean downtown, and every once in a while for fun, because a lot of storefront window owners see me all the time. So I like to go from one building to the next, and I'll put a mop head on like a wig, like a pretty lady. Okay? This guy, though, if it's as a mask, he must have had the mop thing over his head like he was looking through blinds, bruh. This guy's a wackadoo. According to the police report, the neighbor opened the door, which, why in the world would you open the door to a guy wearing a mop on his head? You know what I'm saying? He saw the mopador in Fields and couldn't understand him. Really? There was an understanding issue with the guy wearing a mop head? So he closed and locked the door. Fields continued his door-knocking spree and added in some ding-ding-dings with the end of the mop. Who knew the end of the mop could do that? All right. Well, we got issues here. I don't know why. It just means the internet ain't great. Okay. When police found Fields and asked what was behind the incident, he reportedly told officers he was short of an egg and needed eggs to make a cake, which makes perfect sense. Fields was arrested on a disturbing the peace charge, and he remains in jail on a $9,000 total bond, which initially I'm like, what? For wearing a mop on his head and soliciting eggs? He had a previous unrelated incident, and I'm assuming that previous unrelated incident Probably as wacky as that. All right, so let's see what else we got. I believe I've got, I don't know where this is, but I don't know where. Okay, here we go. All right, this is similar. This is another wacky kind of story. Burglar. Man, my internet ain't great, and I apologize for that. But this guy, burglar, wears clear plastic wrapper as disguise to rob GameStop. So, a burglar just north of the Florida border must have thought a disguise was mandatory to commit a crime, and it is. Because of how else can you describe the lazy mask he chose? The man attempted to rob a GameStop in St. Mary's 2 days before my birthday while wearing a clear plastic bottle wrapper over his head. The disguise was entirely see-through and did absolutely nothing to hide his identity. The crook might have just worn a name tag while rummaging through the store. However, give the thief some credit, as he reports he was able to get away and police have yet to apprehend him. Are you kidding me? Now that's a What in the World with Wilson classic. This guy wears a mask that's see-through, identity completely obvious and available. And you Google it. The guy's picture's hilarious. He's basically wearing like a Dasani water bottle plastic, from the case. He's got it wrapped around his head, except he's looking through the empty spot that normally wouldn't have anything. It's great. And they still ain't found him. That's genius. Now, I don't really want to perpetuate any further crimes this way, but it looks to me like if you wear a mask that people can see through, you can get away. What in the World with Wilson? That's what's happening here on 95.9. I've got wacky stories, and I hope you got time to hear them. Here's from UPI.com. And half the fun are these titles, because it just makes me think about a lot of stuff. Coyote makes a mistake. Winds up in an Aldi refrigerated shelf. I mean, what kind of mistakes are we making, Coyote? I mean, first of all, you got to get your life together. That's one. And stop shopping at Aldi. All right? Just do yourself a solid. Stop going there. The Aldi's on Kedzie in Humboldt Park. Says Instagram, I was prepared to see him pull out a possum or a raccoon. Did not expect a coyote. A confused coyote was removed from a grocery store Monday morning. The incident occurred at a Chicago area Aldi store. Like, how far a coyote got to come? Are they just hanging out in Chicago? Where the animal apparently sought refuge in the store's produce aisle. I mean, great aisle to hang out in. Ain't nobody going to the produce aisle. You sit behind a box of cereal, you be found out in a minute, bruh. It picked an odd location. They do this sometimes. What do you mean they do this sometimes? They make a mistake. Coyotes just being coyotes. You know what I mean? You never know. Sometimes they make a mistake and hang out behind the produce in an Aldi store. They just make a mistake sometimes. That's just what coyotes do. They're trying to avoid us. They're trying to hide from us. Well, I feel like you should maybe stay out of the city, Mr. Yodi. He added that the animals that typically find themselves in this situation are the ones that haven't yet settled down with a mate. Oh, single coyotes out there just sowing their wild oats. All right. I got to get my act together. What in the World with Wilson? That's what you tapped into right now. KRWF 95.9. Servicing all those ears with lovely content. All right. A video posted on social media shows a P officer using the back end of a broom to prod the coyote before pulling it out by the tail. Man, he's basically, and how do you know this stinking coyote's single? I mean, because he's by himself? I don't know. I don't know about it. But let's see what else we got for you. Here's from the New York Post. It's a great title. You'll love this one. I spent $17,000 having my ribs removed for a smaller waist. Now I'm thinking about making them into a crown, which makes sense. A trans woman from Kansas City had 6 ribs removed in order to achieve a smaller waist, and now she bizarrely plans to turn her spare parts into a crown. Emily James dished out 17 G's for elective cosmetic surgery, and I feel like ribs are, aren't they there to protect your vital organs? I mean, aren't you now a whole lot more vulnerable to, I mean, yeah, you got a cool crown on your head, you know, like animals like to sniff at it. You know, you're pretty popular with, I don't know, forager animals. But now you got all your vitals unprotected, though. I could stab you with my finger and poke you in the kidney. I mean, I feel like that's crazy. I plan on having someone make a crown out of them. They let me keep the ribs, which taking a baggie home with your own ribs, I mean, she was going to give them to her best friend initially, which, you know, that's probably what I would do. I'd probably give them to my pastor. He could put them in his office. As she was recovering, the Missourian had to wear a corset around the clock to help with the swelling, although she admitted her pain is only at a 2. All right. She's going to have an Emily barbecue, she said. I'm getting 3 days. I'm getting 3 ribs removed on each side. And it's funny because I don't really even know, and I'm touching myself right now, and I can't count my ribs. I must have more than 6. Anyway, they let her keep the removed ribs. I've had people say they would make them into a chew toy or boil them down into broth. She goes, personally, I think my meat would taste delicious. Now, personally, I think she bat nuts crazy. But that's just me, you know. Some people would say living in a state that's going to be minus 22 on Sunday is stupid. And, you know, we could argue. Eating human meat can cause a plethora of disorders, so she's not going to be eating, you know, herself, I guess. She's ignoring the haters. Many people have made jokes about it. She says, getting my ribs removed doesn't change the fact that I'm a kind, loving girl. And I know some of your moms walk around with Brazilian butt lifts. How is this any different? Well, I mean, I would argue that that's now more protection, right? You know, you're not removing nature's ability to withstand a punchy punch. You get punched in those no ribs, bro. I mean, you know what I mean? This is why the show's called What in the World. All right. I had 6 ribs removed to slim down. That's the nature of my show right there. There you have it. Okay. Well, I dug this classic up. This is from 1982. Pac-Man Fever from Buckner and Garcia. I don't know. I'll be 50. Don't tell anybody this year. And I remember this cassette tape being handed off in the bus. I must have been in 5th grade. And it was great. Now, I wanted it to stay great, but it kind of lost some of its magic. But here you go. Pac-Man Fever 95.9. I got Pac-Man Fever, and What in the World with Wilson is the cure. Thank you for checking me out. KRFF 95.9. What in the World with Wilson every Thursday. I get in at 4. I leave about 5. Hopefully with most of y'all's jaws down going, huh? What? And then I will have succeeded. All right. So we got more stuff to talk about. This is from dailyatomic.com. It's a great website. Check it out. Goat. That's right, a goat. Repeatedly breaks into judge's garden, ends up getting actually arrested by police. You know, and so, look, we've all had neighbors complain about our pets before, but this story takes property damage to a whole new level. And a plot twist absolutely no one saw coming. I didn't see it coming. A goat in India has literally been arrested. Like, we're talking cuffs. They put him on the back of the cop car. You know, they read him in their rights, probably frisked him, you know, stick their hands all up in his fur. It was nuts. So, apparently he was arrested for having expensive taste in garden snacks. The 4-legged perp in question is named Babley. Her crime? Repeatedly scaling a boundary wall to feast on a judge's precious flowers and veggies. Talk about having no respect for the law. None. But it's a goat. So, I mean, how much respect for the law are you expecting this goat to have? I mean, he's down with vegetables and flowers, and you got the vegetables and flowers, bruh. The goat's just going to eat them. You know, he don't care who you are. Who clearly takes his gardening very seriously. However, how seriously can he take it if he can't even keep a stinking goat out? You know, I mean, how you gonna keep this country safe from perps? Huh? You can't even keep a goat out your backyard, Judge. Okay. After multiple incidents of finding his precious plants devoured. Oh, are you okay? All right. Let me start over. After multiple incidents of finding his precious plants devoured, he did what any self-respecting judge would do. He issued an actual arrest warrant for a goat. Now, the police, proving they're nothing if not thorough, actually arrested both Babley and her owner, Abdul. So Abdul and Babley, because apparently being an accomplice to garden destruction is a serious offense. I mean, if I had something to throw, I'd throw it right now, because that's how silly this stinking story is. Hassan is now facing potential charges. Oh, dude, that could lead to over 2 years in prison. That's crazy, which seems a bit harsh for failing to control his goat's gourmet appetites. I'd say so. Hassan straight up admitted to his goat's crime. He goes, my goat has been brought to the police station. It ate up the flowers on the lawn of the judge. He confessed. Assistant Sub-Inspector R. Savrivastav confirmed this wasn't just a one-time thing. This goat's owner has been told several times by the judge's reps to stop letting their animal graze on other people's lawns. Both Babley and Hassan have been released on bail, which, again, when you say, I released a goat on bail, I wish you were close so I could slap the steak and snot out of you for sounding stupid. But again, both Babley and Hassan have been released on bail, with TV footage showing the goat now tethered to prevent future criminal activities. Now, I'd probably just muzzle this idiot, but whatever. Officer Ram Seawick Pakra later confirmed that both the goat and owner were released, since their charges, 427 and 447 of the Indian Penal Code, are bailable offenses, which is good news because nobody wants to see a goat doing hard time. Now, speak for yourself, because I personally would like to see a goat doing hard time. I'd like to see pictures. I'd like a documentary on the prison goat. That's what I want to see. I want to see a hardened prison goat on Netflix. The newest documentary, The Prison Goat Doing Hard Time. That's what I want to see. Let's see it. All right? Yeah. Nobody wants to see a goat doing hard time. I beg to differ. I think everybody would love to see a goat doing hard time. I mean, at least on video. Let's get it in 4K. All right. Well, we got a lot of articles to get to, so we're just going to keep getting it to them. Let's see, what do we got here? I don't know about this. Sorry, mosquito bros. Scientists discover your biggest dating deal breaker. All right. So nobody likes a mosquito. However, mosquitoes provide food for a lot of things we like. Froggies. We like it a little froggy. They hoppity hop hop. We like it a frog. He's hungry. Well, let's get him some mosquitoes. Now, I don't want those mosquitoes biting me and giving me typhoid, but I want the frog to eat them, right? So there's a balancing act with these mosquitoes. And what might be the most savage scientific C block of all time, researchers have discovered that making male mosquitoes deaf, okay? You remove mosquitoes' hearing, it ruins their chances of finding love in the insect world. And honestly, this could be huge for fighting diseases like Zika and dengue fever, which in a few weeks I'll be in Ecuador dodging dengue fever. I'm sure I'll be fine. Male mosquitoes are basically the smooth operators of the insect world. They chase down females mid-flight by following the seductive sound of their wing beats. It's like their version of a dating app, except instead of swiping right, they're listening for that perfect buzz. Scientists, though, of University of California, Santa Barbara, decided to play ultimate wingman, or perhaps anti-wingman. Whoever's writing this article, I don't like him or her. By messing with a protein called tryptophan, that's essential for mosquito hearing. But the result is these modified males become the equivalent of that person who completely misses their date at a crowded coffee shop. Except these guys couldn't find their potential mates even after 3 whole days in the same cage. Talk about awkward. Before you start to feel sorry for these ghosted guys, here's the deal. Female mosquitoes are the ones spreading diseases to about 400 million people annually. By preventing these love connections, scientists might have found a clever way to reduce population and protect human health. Research team findings published in the journal PNAS, PNAS, get your mind out of the gutter, bruh, show that the effect was absolute, meaning these deaf males had exactly zero luck in the romance department. Meanwhile, their non-modified bros were out there living their best lives, wooing and mating with nearly all the females in their cage. But, again, it's worth noting mosquitoes aren't just annoying party crashers. They're important members of the ecosystem, serving as food for fishies, birdies, baddies, and froggies. And we like them. All right? So to me, it sounds genius. Because if we could do without mosquitoes, I'd be with it. I mean, I'm all right with no more mosquitoes. And that's one kind of perk of being up in the mountains where my folks live, up in the Andes Mountains. There's none of that. Well, mostly none of that. The bites I ended up with on my body the last time, I beg to differ. But here we go, folks. A Pennsylvania man filed a lawsuit against the actual devil in 1971, and the legal documents are both hilarious and fascinating. Listen, we've all had those days where everything seems to go wrong and you just want to blame the devil himself. Am I right? I got a song coming up that speaks to that. But one man in 1971 took that feeling to a whole new level by literally filing a federal lawsuit against Satan. Yeah, you read that right. Satan, as in the Prince of Darkness. Meet Gerald Mayo, a man who decided that enough was enough, and he took his grievances straight to the Western District of Pennsylvania court system. And he wasn't just suing Satan, folks. He filed it as a class action lawsuit against Satan and his staff. I'm assuming demons, because apparently even the devil needs employees, and we all know that. According to Mayo's official court filing, Satan had been basically running a personal torment campaign against this guy. I've been there. I just never thought I could sue Satan, but who knows? The lawsuit claimed that the devil had caused plaintiff misery and unwarranted threats against the will of plaintiff, placed deliberate obstacles in his path, and caused downfall of said plaintiff. But wait, it gets better. Mayo also accused Satan of violating his constitutional rights because apparently the U.S. Constitution applies to supernatural beings. Here's where it gets truly fantastic if you hadn't thought that was fantastic enough. Instead of immediately throwing out the case, the court actually took the time to explain why they couldn't proceed. They had to explain why they couldn't go further. All right? Listen, sir, we can't go any further, and we'd like to explain why. The main issue, Mayo forgot to include instructions for how the U.S. Marshal could serve Satan with court papers. Which, when you think about it, is a pretty valid procedural problem. Like, what's Satan's mailing address? Does hell have a zip? What are you going to DM him? The court official response noted that even if Mayo's complaint showed a prima facie recital of the infringement of civil rights of a citizen of the U.S., they had serious doubts that the complaint reveals a cause of action upon which relief can be granted by the court. In other words, even if Satan was breaking the law, they weren't sure they had jurisdiction over the ruler of the underworld. Perhaps the most incredible part of this whole story, I can't believe we got more incredibleness up ahead, is how seriously the court treated what could have been dismissed as a joke. They actually took the time to explain in proper legal terms why they couldn't move forward with a lawsuit. Now, this was in 1971. I wasn't even born yet. It's probably the most professional way anyone has ever said, sir, we can't sue Satan. And that's a little story on What in the World with Wilson. That's the kind of stuff we talk about. Now, here's another dailyatomic.com. I'm going to go ahead and read you the title here. A trucker accidentally sat on an air hose and literally inflated like a ball. Yep, this actually happened. Look, we've all had rough days at work. Maybe you spilled coffee on your keyboard or sent an embarrassing email to the entire company. But trust me, whatever workplace mishap you're cringing about right now probably doesn't compare to what happened to Stephen McCormick, a truck driver from New Zealand who experienced what might be the most bizarre workplace accident ever. It's May 21, and McCormick is just doing his regular trucker stuff. Then in a split second that would make anyone question their life choices, he slips and falls between his truck cab and trailer. But here's where things get wacky. He lands directly on an air hose, breaking it in the process. That must have been a little fatty. And not just any air hose. We're talking about one that pumps air at 100 pounds per square inch. For reference, that's about 3 times the pressure in your car tires. And if you know about pressure, if you've ever overinflated a tire, my daughter knows, it's wild. When blowing up isn't just a figure of speech. McCormick was 48 at the time. He said he felt air rush into his body. He felt like he was going to explode from my foot. In what sounds like a scene from a cartoon, he literally started inflating like a human football. Unable to move, he could only lay there as his body continued to expand. The compressed air actually separated McCormick's fat from his muscles. And doctors were shocked his skin didn't burst from the pressure. Oh. His colleagues, thankfully, thinking fast, they turned up the air supply, positioned him on his side to help him breathe, likely saving his life in the process. In what might be the most memorable hospital description ever, McCormick compared his post-inflation body to a pork roast, crispy on the outside and squishy underneath. While recovering in the hospital in Whacatane, he needed his lungs drained and spent time in intensive care with his head and neck swollen to cartoon proportions. The happy, if slightly deflated, ending. Despite what sounds like a literal human balloon experiment gone wrong, he made a full recovery. He gradually deflated under supervision, probably making him the first person in history to include successful deflation in his medical records. The next time you're having a bad day, just remember, at least you didn't accidentally turn yourself into a human balloon. Sometimes perspective is everything. What in the world with Wilson? That's what you're tapped into here. Yeah, it's a great day to be alive, isn't it? It's a great day to be alive. What else we got for you? Let's see. I got a lot of stuff. I just don't know. Just don't know what to do. This one's, we got a couple good ones. And then I'll play some music maybe. New York Post. And see, now I don't know about this. You know? I don't know about this. A Scottish woman says, I thought my appendix burst. But she was actually pregnant. She was actually pregnant and gave birth 40 minutes later. Now, that is just wild to me. It's absolutely wild to me. A Scottish woman who thought she had a burst appendix was shocked when she found out she was pregnant and gave birth 40 minutes later. And I feel like if I was a woman, that's how I'd want to get down. Just living my life and going, oh, I think I got a little pain in my belly. They're like, surprise. It's a bouncy baby boy. All right. You know, it's like you went in thinking you have an appendix. You go out with a dependent. It's great. Anna Jackson started getting pain in her abdomen. Put it down to period cramps. And that's what I usually do. But when the pain started gearing up, she feared she had a burst appendi and rushed to Forth Valley Royal Hospital in Scotland with her partner. Doctors noticed swelling on her abdomen and asked her to take a pregnancy test. But Anna says she was still clueless when they said it was positive. She asked if they could do anything, but told she was in labor. Was promptly taken to the labor ward. Anna gave birth to her daughter, Talia, at 3:53 a.m., 7 pounds, just 40 minutes after finding out the news. The new mom says it felt like an episode of Grey's Anatomy for 2 or 3 weeks before reality hit. Anna, who was working for a live music venue, said she didn't have any symptoms at all. She said, I thought maybe I had appendicitis and it had burst. She said they think she was pressed right up against my spine. I think she was straight up and down and hidden. I was sitting there in shock. It took 2 to 3 weeks. That's insane, right? Insane. But I've heard of that stuff before. It's interesting. Here we got an article. Man 84 fights off laundrette robber with pair of jeans in Maltby. The incident happened last week, and a 42-year-old man has been charged with attempted robbery. Let's talk about it. Ron Croker was drying his clothes when the would-be robber burst in and demanded, "Give me your money now," he said. Mr. Croker stood his ground. He said, "You ain't getting my wallet, bruh." Slowly walked towards the man. He goes, "I'll come to you, sucker," and managed to force him out, all while holding a pair of jeans in one hand. The man came back for another try, but it was again met with stiff resistance from the retired building site foreman. As the attacker tried to grab him, Mr. Croker screamed, "Get off!" and whipped him with the jeans as he again bundled him out the laundrette. "I've worked all my life for my money," he said. "He's not having it. I gave him an almighty shove, and he went rolling into the road." All right. Well, you go get him. I hope I'm as agile at 84 that I can, do that. Here's Daily Atomic again. Woman's love for SpaghettiOs lands her in jail, which is exactly how that sentence should start. I believe SpaghettiOs should be at least a Class B misdemeanor. If you're in possession of SpaghettiOs, you need to go to jail. That's just the way it is. A Georgia woman spent nearly a month behind bars after police mistakenly identified residue from SpaghettiOs on a spoon as methamphetamine, highlighting concerns about field testing procedures and wrongful detention. But I think we're avoiding the fact that whatever's in SpaghettiOs tests positive for meth. That should be all you need to know about eating SpaghettiOs, bruh. Ashley was released from Hall County Jail in September after crime labs result confirmed that the suspicious substance found in her vehicle was nothing more than leftover pasta sauce residue. The incident began in July. She was pulled over. Vehicle inspection, they found a spoon with dried residue that field tested positive for methamphetamine. Despite Huff's insistence that the residue was just from pasta she'd eaten in her car, she was, of course, arrested and charged with possession of meth. Unable to make bail and maintaining her innocence, Huff remained in custody for more than 3 weeks while awaiting the results. I mean, she faced a difficult choice. She could have just pled guilty and got out. But she waited. And I think she said it had been SpaghettiOs. I think she said it had been. Of course she did. You think she didn't tell you what that residue is from? From what I understand, she was a passenger in a car and had a spoon on her. I guess the officer, for whatever reason, thought there was some residue. So casual and dismissive about a life you just messed up. The case highlights the limitations of field drug testing. I don't know. These tests have previously mistaken everything from soap to candy for illegal drugs. Who knew? Okay? And it certainly raises questions about the reliability in determining probable cause for arrest. And that's just one of those wacky stories I bring to you. What else? What else we got here? I'm going to play a song. Let's do that. All right. I got a little Red Clay Strays here. This is Devil in My Ear, 95.9. In my ear right there. The Red Clay Strays, that's brand new. You're welcome. What in the world with Wilson? That's the hour. That's where we're at, and that's what we're doing. What in the world with Wilson? Every Thursday. Stinky Arts Music Mart is on deck, so stay tuned for that. Programming on KRFLP Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 has been underwritten by Flatland Guitar and Lutherie. Flatland Guitar is your full-service guitar shop and your exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, Paul Reed Smith guitars, and other brands. They sell guitars on consignment. They take trade-ins and have a full-service on-site repair center. Check out Flatland Guitar and Lutherie on Facebook or come by and visit them in person at their location, 1450 25th Street South in Fargo. Well, we're going to tidy this thing up and get out the door. I thank y'all for joining me. We've had a good time, and I got more stuff to talk about for sure. Here's Oddity Central. Homeowner removes doors and windows after tenant stopped paying rent. Why, this sounds completely reasonable. Landlord, Northern France, trying to force his tenants to leave in the middle of the winter by removing the doors and windows on his property. Apparently, it's illegal to evict tenants in wintertime, even if they're behind on rent. However, one landlord in Pas-de-Calais, a department in Northern France, is trying to skirt around the law by forcing his neighbors or his tenants to vacate without actually asking them to leave. On December 20th, team of workers arrived at the property, started taking the doors and windows under the pretext of replacing them. That's pretty sneaky. However, the tenants claim they just loaded up the old doors and windows and took off, leaving them to brave the cold and face potential intrusion at all hours of the day and night. The tenant, a mother of one, told Info that she tried reaching out to the landlord after the incident, but they ain't answering the phone anymore. She barricaded the windows and doors with cardboard. She claims she's too terrified to leave the property now, so she spends all of her time at home. Wow, what a crazy psychological bait and switch. Now she says she's too afraid to leave. Landlord took responsibility, admitting to having the doors removed, adding that she only did it because the tenant failed to keep up their end of the bargain. They didn't insure the house. In fact, we had agreed together she would pay. She owes me 5 months' rent. Now, the French Homeowners Association, they understand. But the method used to coerce the tenants is completely illegal. Now, I don't know why. Why? The tenant has filed a complaint for breach of trust and is looking for social housing. I don't know about that. I don't know about it. Let's see what we got here. Zookeeper walks into lion enclosure to impress fiance, gets mauled, he's dead. That's kind of what happens, when you try petting tigers. It just kind of is what it is. Now, this story should have came out of Florida, and I don't think it does. Oh, it's from Tasmania, Australia. This might be the most uncomfortable family scandal of all time, and every detail just gets worse. A shocking family drama unfolded in Tasmania that makes most family feuds to look tame in comparison. David McCullough, 41, probably didn't expect his day to end in jail time, but then again, he probably didn't expect to find his wife and mother in quite that position either. It started like many modern relationship squabbles, an unanswered phone call. McCullough grew suspicious when his wife of 6 years, Jacinta, wouldn't pick up her phone, but instead of finding her shopping or at a friend's house, he discovered something straight out of a reality TV show. He tracks down the car only to find his wife and brother getting intimate in the back seat. But here's the twist that takes this story from bad to funky. Their mother was casually sitting in the driver's seat. Yep, their own mother. McCullough's reaction? Grab a shovel from his car because who doesn't keep one handy? And go on what the court called a rampage. He started throwing punches, wielding the shovel with such force that it actually broke in half. Both his wife and brother ended up in the hospital, and his poor mom got pushed into a trash can while trying to play peacekeeper. Peacekeeper? I don't know. McCullough pleaded guilty to several assault charges, plus some bonus charges for cannabis and firearms, and got handed a 3-year prison sentence. That's wild. I mean, that's wild. That's pretty wild to me. Well, let's keep cruising. What else we got? What else we got for y'all? Let's see. We got to have something, right? We got to have something. Oh, yeah. Here's how we're going to wrap this up. This here is a selection of probably the craziest Florida Man headlines, which is wild because it's probably my third week I've had them. So I don't know. And they're different. All right. So number 1 is Lucky Shirt. Florida man wears F the police shirt to court, wins case. Oh, Florida. Number 2, killer squirrel. Florida man attacked during selfie with squirrel. Here we go. Number 3, telltale signs. This guy, he had a T-shirt that says, "Who needs drugs? No, seriously, I have drugs." He was arrested for drugs. Comment said, "Honest advertising is always the best advertisement." All right. So what do we got? Number 5, flying alligators. Florida man charged with assault with a deadly alligator after throwing alligator through Wendy's drive-through window. Here we got a modern Robin Hood. Florida man steals a car, realizes a baby's in it. He drops baby off safely, makes his getaway. Bless his heart. All right. Here's number 7. Florida cop claims Burger King put dirt on his food. Investigation reveals it was seasoning. Comment, I bet this guy's really good at solving crimes. Thousands of gun owners in Florida planning to shoot down Hurricane Irma. Excuse me. That don't make any sense. Here we got number 9, hospital wait. Florida man gets tired of waiting at hospital, so he steals ambulance and drives himself home. Oh, man, here's this again. Florida man tries to rob GameStop while wearing transparent bag on his head. I don't know. Okay, here we got number 11. Florida man breaks into jail to hang out with friends. All right. Number 12, leave crabs alone. Florida man's been writing anti-Hillary messages on Tampa Bay crabs. This one says Hillary is a lying erp. Bestest canine, number 13. Florida man hides in swamp after high-speed police chase. Gets stuck and licked by police dog. What else we got here? That surely doesn't count. Florida man denies drinking and driving. Says he only swigged bourbon at stop signs, which I'm sure he's completely fine. They don't need them anyway. Florida man leaves job at Burger King, steals all their nuggets, all the frozen ones, everything. Because, well, why not? Number 17 says a lot about the local cuisine. Florida man arrested for assaulting girlfriend with fried chicken. Now, I don't know how you do that. How do you do that? How do you do it? Here we got the angriest birds. Florida man steals neighbor's peacock, gets chased by angry birds. Well, there you go. Well, we got number 22. The monkey told him to do it. Of course. Florida man arrested for driving stolen vehicle while monkey clings to chest. Finding love in the most unexpected places. Number 23. Florida man ripped urinal from restaurant bathroom wall, ran naked into the woods. Here we go. Man, I love Florida man. Florida man pauses police chase to rehydrate with stolen Capri Sun. Says smoking crack makes him thirsty. Comment, well, it's important to stay hydrated, said Night Owl. Florida man gives police exonerating dash cam video following traffic incident. Accidentally includes video of him robbing a beauty store. Here we go. Florida man admits killing goat and drinking its blood for pagan sacrifices. Would still like to be senator. Here we go. With a side of traffic jam. Florida man eating pancakes in the middle of a crosswalk. And Night Owl again, he says, when you gotta eat, you gotta eat. Her love just needed a little kindling. Florida man disguises himself in bull costume as he tries to burn down former lover's house with pasta sauce. Now is pasta sauce... What? Florida man steals BMW after he's told he can't buy it with food stamps. I can't get this BMW with an EBT? They're both acronyms. What's up? All right. Florida man arrested in local park for practicing karate on swans. That'd be one day I'd love to be in Tampa Bay, hanging out in the park, eating a sandwich, watching this guy hi-ya and choppity-chopping on birds. That's insane. All right. Well, we're about out of here. I got some more for you. Let's see, what do we got? Sorting your priorities. Florida man asked trooper if he could leave scene of crash to get more meth. Well, of course you can. Sure, buddy, we'll go with you. Lead us straight to your dealer, says Lottawa. Florida man pulls out plastic badge and tells speeding motorcyclist, "I the police." Oh, man. Perfect date. Florida man drives date to sports bar on stolen Walmart mobility scooter. Florida man calls 911 to report himself drunk driving. Naked man arrested after dancing in fire. All right. Oh, here we go. Number 41. Florida man gives police fake name to try and avoid arrest. That name had a Dewey. Why there's no banana for scale. Florida man asks public for help looking for his 18-foot banana. Quote was like, how do you lose a banana? Yeah, Florida man arrested for attempting to steal a power pole by strapping it on top of his SUV. Man, this Florida is crazy, right? And buck wild. All right. What else we got? We got some more stuff. All right. Florida man calls 911 to report lack of vodka. Well, that sounds like an emergency, doesn't it? Florida man filmed stealing dozens of pigeons while wearing trash bag and bucket on his head. Florida man steals bees because he thought they were abandoned. Okay. All right. Let's see. Florida man caught trying to smuggle dead alligator in car. Unable to wait till July 4th, Florida man blows off fingers with fireworks a day early. All right. Okay, underwear-clad Florida man spends 4 hours yelling at people from roof of Wendy's. Man. All right. One more. Florida man with handlebar mustache assaults woman on plane, starts a fight with several passengers, yells at police to tase him, and you'll see what happens, then gets tased 10 times. All right, people. We've had a good time today. Stinky Arts Music Mart is on deck. I'm about done here. Let me see if I got anything else worth talking about. Oh, yeah. Here we go. New York Post. Fed up farmers in India have started wearing bear costumes to protect crops from monkeys. Farmers have been dressing up in bear costumes to scare monkeys and protect their crops. The farmers based in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh began wearing the costumes while patrolling their fields last month. Villagers pooled money to purchase a bear costume, which the farmers take turns wearing. Well, that's genius. A video taking into whatever, can't pronounce it, shows a farmer protecting their mustard, chickpea, wheat, and sugarcane crops. The farmers claim the monkeys have become a very serious issue, and they're destroying the crops. And apparently monkeys don't like bears. So It's like a wackadoo version of a bear crow. It's a bear crow, bruh. Man, I'm too witty for my socks. That's all I gotta say. I'm too witty. Who's witty? Wilson's witty. Well, I got one last story, and then we're going to jump out of here. This one's crazy. We're going to wrap it up with a humdinger, y'all. All right? We're going to wrap it up with a humdinger. An Australian woman who allegedly set her husband's private parts on fire in a jealous rage has been charged with murder after he succumbed to his injuries, which means he's dead. Regini appeared in Adelaide Magistrate Court facing upgraded charges following the death of her husband, Satish. Prosecutors say she confessed to neighbors that she set her husband on fire after witnessing him hug another woman. And how dare he? You know, if I'm in a relationship, I see you hugging somebody, I'm burning your crotch. That's the nature of the beast. According to prosecutor Lucy, she admitted to being a jealous wife, but claimed she never intended to kill her husband. She goes, I just wanted to burn his so it belongs to me and no one else. I didn't mean this to happen. The incident occurred when she allegedly doused her sleeping husband's genitals with an alcohol-based solvent and ignited them. In the ensuing chaos, of course there was chaos, jumped from the bed, accidentally knocking over the bottle of alcohol. This caused the fire to spread, resulting in approximately $1 million in damage to their townhouse and adjacent property. So it burnt some other houses down. Initially, she was charged with endangering life and arson. However, the charges were upgraded to murder after he died from his injuries. And there you have it. And you're welcome. Well, thank you for joining me. What in the World with Wilson? On deck is Stinky Arts Music Mart. I shall be here next Thursday, I think. In February, I'll be in Ecuador. We'll talk about that as it gets closer. But I'm going to scurry out of here, so y'all be good to yourselves. I hope you found something that came with an exclamation point and a question mark in my hour. I plan to do that again next Thursday. Here's Remember to Breathe, Sturgill Simpson. Peace.